In this video, you'll learn how to take any picture with any phone and turn it into DSLR quality using just two free apps, Snapseed and Lightroom Mobile. Here's a breakdown of what we'll do. Take your picture, put it into Snapseed, separate the background, blur that background, bring back your subject, and that's pretty much it. Then we're gonna just color correct and color grade using Lightroom. Let's begin. So first, you're gonna need your phone. Obviously, this doesn't matter which phone it is. Take a picture of your subject with a nice background, bring it into your phone and open up Snapseed. Once you've opened up Snapseed, the first step is gonna be healing. Tap the tools, click healing, and then select your subject by drawing over it. This doesn't have to be precise. You can be very rough with it. That's okay. Once you're done, you're gonna see your subject is automatically removed and you just have a background. And you tap on tools again and click on lens blur. Make it as small as you possibly can. Make the transition of it 0 and then make the blur strength whatever you want. You can do 60 to 70, 70 to 80 looks pretty realistic. Vignette to 0 and then move the corner to the edge. That's very important. Click OK and your background is ready. Then click tools again, click double exposure and then add image and add back the same image again that you started with. Once you have that, make sure the opacity at the bottom is set to full. Click OK. Now it should look the same. What we've done here is created multiple layers. Click the view layers and then you'll be able to see it. Click double exposure and click stacks brush. What you do is put the double exposure at 100% and paint back your subject. You don't need to be very precise, just briefly go around it to paint back whatever details you need. And you kind of understand what we're doing. We're painting back the subject only while keeping the background blur. Next, you can click on the eye tool at the bottom to reveal the mask. So everything in red is going to be visible. Everything that isn't red is going to be invisible. Make the double exposure value to 0 to remove any excess that we painted on. This is a very slow process, so it can take a lot of time, but trust me, the result is really worth it once you get it done properly. So in the beginning, you kind of want to just go over all of the edges carefully. The more you zoom in, the more harsh the brush is going to be. The more zoomed out you are, the more feathered it's going to be. So closer to the skin or to the subject, you want to be more harsh, and then further away, you can really be quick. So here, don't be very precise. Try to get the edges very good on the most part, but where, for example, here, where we're in between two of these folds, where there's an angle where our thumb or our finger can't really make a precise cut, kind of go over it more than you should, and then we'll come back to it later. Just remember where it is because we're going to come back and fix this, and I'm going to show you how. For now, let's just go over throughout the subject and clear up everything that we can as precisely as we can, except the edges. Don't worry about that yet, but go over this, be precise, take your time with it, don't rush this. Once you see that, clicking the I button, you'll kind of see we're almost there. We've pretty much done the hardest part. We're over with the selection. All right, so now it's time to paint back the mistakes or fix the edges. So go over it again with 0 and then paint out the excess. When you can see that dark edge, you kind of want to fix that. Paint back with 100 to get back the details that you cut out excess of. So putting it back at 100, paint back whatever was cut by mistake, and then you can pretty much go over the edges just to make this precise. So you can see I'm really feathering this out, making it look as tight to the edge, as close to the corners as possible. Go between 0 and 100 to paint in and paint out respectively to make sure that all of the edges are accurate and you get a nice clean cut on the edges. This is what will really sell the effect and make it super, super realistic. Once you have the perfect selection, you can kind of see what we've done. You can open up the layers to see the step-up process. So we started with the original image, then we used the healing brush to remove everything, then we blurred the background, and then double exposure, we added the subject back in. Now, the great thing about Snapseed is you can go back and change the lens blur without having to do everything again. It lets you customize that. So we're going to readjust the blur to make it a little bit more realistic. Once we've done that, we're happy with it. We can click the export button and open it up within Lightroom. So once you've exported, go back to your home screen, open up Lightroom, and that's where we're going to do our color correction and grading. A lot of people ask me for my color correction and grading tips, so this one's going to be a little bit more detailed. That's why the video is slightly longer. All right, so go into your light tab, adjust the contrast and highlights and shadows based on your preferences. I'm going to go for a softer look, so click on your curves, and we're going to bring in a nice little fade. So the bottom left of the curve, if you bring that point up, you get a fade once you drop down the shadows a little bit. So you can see bringing it up, fade, bringing it down, darker shadows. So we're going to adjust this for a gentle S curve with a little bit of a fade. And once we're happy with that, we're going to click done. All of this is really personal preference, but I'm going to go over the lighting again just to make sure that we're not clipping on any whites or darks. You're going to see me going over this multiple times because we keep changing it based on what we're doing. So go over to your color grade side of things, click the color, I already see I want to reduce the blues in the back because they're too strong. So we're going to reduce the hue and the saturation for the blue a little bit. The greens, I want more of a yellowish tone to give you that hipster Instagram trendy look. You can do green, but I like the yellower orangish tone. So we're going to move that to that side. I also like desaturating these colors a little bit to bring more of that contrast and subject isolation using colors. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. Just playing with these settings, moving the slider up and down for the hues and the saturation. You don't have to be very quick with this. Just take your time and kind of give it more time so that your eyes adjust to the image. Go back, come back again, see what it looks like. So once you've done that, I want a more warm tone. So I add more warmth. I decrease the saturation, and then I add back some vibrance. So the reason for that is I want to remove excess colors and then accentuate the colors that I want with vibrance. Now we're going to go over to the color grade tab. We're going to add in a little bit of a blue tint to the shadows only. Now I'm going to reduce the saturation to just 2 to keep it very, very low, but have a subtle blue since we removed all the blue. In the highlights, we're going to add a little bit of an orangish tone because we're going for that teal and orange sort of look. You don't have to do this. This is just personal preference. I like this kind of look. So we're going to go from a greenish, yellowish tone with a lower saturation. And then for midtones, to tie both of these together, a more greenish color with a very low saturation of 2. All right, so we're kind of happy with that. Let's check our before and after. Keep doing this to check your progress. We started with this, and now we're over here. I think it's time to move on to the details tab. Here we can add in more details and texture and clarity. Do this very carefully because you might over texturize, over clarity it, which doesn't look very nice. So zoom in and out and then adjust it. Make sure you check whether it's clipping or not. I also added a slight vignette to bring more focus to the center of the image and feather that out so it doesn't look very cheap. But it's a very subtle vignette. And then I see that the sharpness became a bit too crazy, so I brought down the texture and the clarity just to balance it out a little bit more for that softer look. Another quick check for our before and after, and we're looking good. So check the before and after again. I'm pretty happy with the progress. Click the export button once you're done, save to your device, and that's pretty much it. That's how you can transform this and take a really awesome picture using any smartphone and to make it look like a DSLR. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like it so I know you want to see more content like this. If you're new to my channel, do consider subscribing. I'll be making more content just like this. Also, comment down below what you want me to do next. I try to respond to every single comment, so I'll definitely respond to yours if you have a cool idea. Thanks, guys.